What's up, everybody? Gino here. Today, we're talking about Heretic, Shadow of the Serpent Riders. It's the first game to be labeled a Doom clone, first game in the Heretic series, and also the first game in the Serpent Riders trilogy, alongside Hexen 1 and 2. It was developed by Raven Software, who would go on to work on the Call of Duty series as a support team for both Infinity Ward and Treyarch. And it's pretty neat to know this company's still around, even though I'm sure the legends that made this game are all long gone by now. In Heretic, you play as Corvus, one of the surviving Sidhe, a race of ancient elves adept in arcane sorcery and keepers of the Tomes of Power. The Elders guard 7 flames tied to the Earth's breath. From the book, they read the prophecy of Armageddon, entailing how 3 Serpent Riders from the Eastern Wilds will arrive and have dominion over all those who believe in them, and the children of Sidhe will be no more. From the east came the evil foretold by the Elders, 3 Serpent Riders, guardians of death everlasting. Their form was shrouded by black cloaks, only their eyes revealed, sunken with evil, dreadful intensity. Those who worshipped the Serpent Riders created a temple in their honor, and it bore the mark of the crossed trident. These worshippers were the Order of the Sign, blind followers without will, void of spirit. As the power of the Order grew, even the 7 kings of Earth followed like cattle behind them. After they'd controlled the great nations, the 2 eldest of the Riders left this plane, leaving only the weakest of the 3 remaining, Disperal. The Sidhe were unaffected by the spell cast by the Serpent Riders, and so they were marked as heretics, the unclean, fit only to be wiped from the face of the earth. The disciples of Disperal conspired with the kings of Earth to levy the armies of the great nations to destroy the Sidhe. Knowing their time was coming to an end, the Elders extinguished the 7 flames, and in doing so, extinguished the amassed armies as well as their own lives. The ether began to quake, and the earth opened up, engulfing the Elders in flames, and came forth forces of evil, both beasts and undead, attacking everything like packs of wild dogs. As each of the Sidhe fell, several beasts would gather to chew into their bellies like pigs into slop. When the day was done, the few remaining Sidhe were scattered across the land, in hiding to bide their time before the Order plucks them from this realm one at a time. Your nation in flames, your race ruthlessly massacred, their spirits broken. While others hid, you thirsted for vengeance and rode east into the wilderness in search of Disperal. Now you stand before the city of the damned, the air thick with the stench of rot. Your hate drives you forward. Beyond these gates, the dead and creatures of the night writhe in dark corners, their bodies aching for your blood. With luck, some of your people's ancient artifacts can be found hidden among the dark passages beyond. For with only a staff as your weapon, the world is surely damned. Fuck yeah! What a badass fucking story. I'm hooked. Watching Lord of the Rings, Boromir was always my favorite character, and Corvus is giving me some strong Boromir vibes. Fallen nation, wanting vengeance at all cost. Let's kick some Hellspawn ass. E1M1 The Docks. Dooms 1 and 2 are highly praised for many things, but one of those in particular is their opening stages, hangar and entryway. Both not only iconic, but great levels themselves to get you introduced into their games respectively. The Docks stages that shot nicely as we look out towards a pier with gargoyles already closing in on us. But the map itself prepares us for what the rest of the game has to offer. Spongy enemies, plenty of pickups littered throughout the map, and a fair amount of running around a large map checking every door looking for switches. To me, the ideal Doom map is short, straightforward, but very challenging, very densely packed with challenge. My go-to pick for that would be E3M2's Slough of Despair. I love how densely packed that map is, and the layout's really good. However, there are some of the more open, structured maps that I enjoy a lot, like E2M2 Containment Area. Pretty much every Heretic map is the latter. They take you about 15 to 20-ish minutes to beat. They're always very, very labyrinthian, and often you'll find yourself backtracking to find the next key, or other than the first map and some boss missions, I think like every map requires all 3 keys. Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember every map fucking running around. Where's the green key? Okay, green key, blue door. Where's the blue fucking key? The game's not bad, but there are some issues. One of the two big issues with Heretic, that being most maps, especially in episode 1 and 2, could all use some trimming down. Remove one of the 3 keys, maybe even 2 of them from some, because having every map require 3 keys just feels like padding. The second big issue I have with Heretic is the enemies are very, very spongy. The balancing in this game as a whole just feels a bit off. Enemies do a decent amount of damage to you, I'd say, but you don't really do enough to them, and to compensate, the maps are littered with ammo pickups. The ground's also littered with blue vials, which are heals. The reason every room needs to have like 5 to 10 of these each is because you only get about 10% of a heal per vial. They should be boosted to quarter heals, which will make the purple flasks boosted to 50% or 100% and just remove the urns. Those last 2 items I talked about, the purple flasks and the urns, those are item pickups you can use whenever you'd like. One of the big advancements Heretic brought to the formula was an inventory system. There are several different items you can pick up and use, quartz flask and mystic urn as I mentioned before, but also torches to light up dark areas, shadow spheres to render the player partially invisible for a limited time, Taiketo's Tome of Power, which boosts your damage output, making that balancing issue I mentioned before temporarily nullified, Validor's Ring of Invulnerability, obvious what that one does, and Helicon's Wings of Wrath, which lets the player fly temporarily. That's pretty neat. Drakala's Chaos Device, which teleports the player back to the map's origins. I only used this like one time ever, and you don't even really need it. It's just, I used it to circumvent the fucking puzzle because I got tired of this long-ass map. Delmentalitar's Time Bomb of the Ancients, which explodes 1 second after being placed. It doesn't really do that much damage to the spongy-ass enemies for it to really be useful, but it will do enough damage to pretty much kill you unless you're at full health. So if you accidentally place this around enemies or just on accident, yeah, you're probably dead, so make sure you save plenty. The way that the inventory system works is you have one active slot, and using keybinds you can cycle through items, and once you've used up all of one item, it'll automatically cycle to the next. I've died so many times because I accidentally used a time bomb, not realizing that it had cycled to it, and it blew up and killed me. I wish instead you had a Minecraft or World of Warcraft style hotbar, and by pressing one of the number keys 1 through 10, it would use that designated item. Those key functions are currently reserved for weapon selecting, but you can also use the scroll wheel for that anyways. I think that it would just make the inventory system work better having access to each item more conveniently, and then you're never accidentally using the incorrect item due to auto-cycling. Also, it easily conveys to the player what they have on hand. Anytime I need to cycle through my items to get to what I really need, I don't want to be in danger. Imagine I'm surrounded by a bunch of enemies, so I gotta worry about dodging their projectiles, try to hit them, and also cycle through to get to my heals, because the auto-cycling never has what I want. So, it would just be better that way, I think. Overall, the inventory system's a cool addition, I just wish it was a little bit better implemented. As I run through the first episode, City of the Damned, we get introduced to various legions of beasts and undead that we'll be encountering throughout the game. All these enemies are pretty similar. Most have a melee and a projectile attack. The Saberclaws are Heretic's stand-in for Pinkies. They don't have a projectile, and they'll only attack close range. Gargoyles and Golems aren't much of a threat, and neither are the Undead Warriors. Disciples and Rare Dragons are the two most threatening mobs in the game, not counting the bosses, of course. Disciples will shoot 3 energy blasts out, and they fade in and out of a spectral form. Other enemies like the Golems and the Undead Warriors have spectral variants, but Disciples will phase in and out of the two. When an enemy is in spectral form, they're impervious to physical damage, so you have to switch from your crossbow to your Dragon Claw. I think it's kind of neat, but I wish that it was just, it's harder to see them now. I don't like the fact that they're impervious to physical damage because most of your weapons are the special damage. So you're kind of just screwing yourself over if you're out of ammo and have to use the staff, or if you want to use the crossbow. Well, now you're screwed. And I think that it just doesn't really work well with having so many different weapons and ammo types. Like, if I've been using the Dragon Claw the whole time and now I'm out of damage and I have to use a crossbow, and now I run into a room full of like 50 spectral golems, like, I'm just fucked. So I think that's kind of just annoying. I don't like it. Now's a good time to talk about weapons. You start off with just a staff, which you use for melee attack when you're out of ammo, and your basic wand. This is Heretic's version of the pistol. It can be inaccurate, which is annoying. If the enemies are far away, you miss a lot, but it never really falls off or becomes pointless to use. I still use it pretty late game whenever I walk into a room full of just a bunch of gargoyles. I'll pull out the wand just to use an ammo type that I pick up a lot. In Doom, after a certain point, you don't really use the pistol anymore unless you're doing a self-imposed challenge like pistol starting. So it's cool that this one, all the weapons stay useful later on. That's kind of just because they all aren't really that fun to use. Early on, you'll get the gauntlets, which strike nearby enemies with lightning. These are nice because they don't eat ammo, but they do leave you vulnerable for damage, even from foes you're electrocuting. And sometimes they don't really work the best. Like, I'll be sitting there trying to electrocute an enemy, and it's not taking damage, and it's killing me, so, you know. The ethereal crossbow is one of my go-tos. It works like a shotgun. It has a spray of 3 arrows, and the middle one has a charge that deals extra non-physical damage, along with the physical arrow itself. If you shoot an enemy up close, this one does good damage, killing most enemies in 1 to 3 shots depending. But you gotta be good with dodging enemy fire because this one has a slow cooldown. It's probably the most fun weapon to use. I just wish the enemies were not so fucking spongy so I could use it more often. The Dragon Claw is essentially a machine gun, so it's pretty much just a straight upgrade to the basic wand whenever you have the ammo for it. Unlike Doom, the pistol and the machine gun don't use the same ammo. Due to all the enemies being so spongy, all of these weapons fall into 3 categories, other than the physical and special split of course, but the first being the use from far away to chip enemies down category. This is the wand and Dragon Claw. The second category being the use up close to pick mobs off one by 1 category. This covers the crossbow, my favorite weapon to use since it feels more engaging weaving in and out and around enemy fire while making sure my spacing is right to get a good shot at. The final category is melee weapons for using when I'm out of ammo or being conservative, which of course covers the staff and gauntlets. I said earlier, most of the maps throughout episode 1 are okay, but they could definitely use some trimming down. Well, that being said, I just want to emphasize, they are still fun enough to run through, especially on hard mode. In fact, I had even more fun on my second playthrough, since I kind of know where I'm going and whatnot. You can definitely tell by the aesthetics of these maps that the devs truly did care. They did put an effort into making these maps, they look good. You can't fault the game for one thing, and it's aesthetically pleasing. These environments are very pretty. The first episode just kind of feels sort of like these maps were the first maps that they made, and they had gotten better as the game developed. Episode 1's boss map, Hell's Maw, is the first that I really enjoyed. It's pretty short, but man, it's brutal. You have gargoyles charging at you trying to knock you off into a pit of damage tiles, and I think the molten rock tiles tick twice as fast as the previous acid pit damage tiles. We got an island of undead warriors sniping us from across the chasm. Then down into the boss pit, we get our first boss encounter, and on hard mode, you're going to encounter 3 of these guys. These are called the Iron Lich, and they'll become common enemies later on. They're a bit tanky, of course, and they have 3 attacks. They shoot frost beams at you, they'll shoot flame pillars, and worst of all are the tornadoes. These are really fucking annoying since they spin you around doing damage persistently, and they never just go the fuck away. They stick around way too goddamn long, and it's the best moment to spam any items you have been hoarding, like damage buff tomes and invulns, to make this encounter get by pretty easy. And then when you think the level is over, the exit is barred with a room of like 50 disciples and spectral golems. Yeah, they fucked my ass up. Feel free to save throughout the map so you don't have to redo the whole level like I do every time I die. After that's over, it's time to move on to Episode 2, Hell's Maw. As Corvus descends into the depths of Hell, the game starts to pick up the difficulty a bit, making the levels feel more action-packed, and at times very well paced despite being Heretic maps. However, Episode's midpoint E2M4, the Ice Grotto, is a massive stumble. I know what you're thinking, wow, ice level bad, color me surprised, but honestly, it's not even that. I think the concept of an ice level in a Doom game is kind of a neat idea, and an ice level doesn't have to have ice physics anyways, but I think it kind of works well here. Doom movement is already pretty slip and slidey, so ice gives the movement more friction and inertia. You move more like Sonic the Hedgehog than you do Mario now. I like that, it's a nice change for a level gimmick. The aesthetics are also cool, ice caps and a river of lava. What? That don't make no sense. Well, we're in hell, so the logic of material reality is completely nullified down here. It doesn't have to make sense. Now, the part of this level that really fucking pisses me off is the ice level portion of the map is only the first tiny bit in this decently sized map. It's pretty much entirely superfluous. You can just run straight to the key if you know where it's at, and you can run past the majority of the ice maze, run into this little nook here where the key is, then you go to the rest of the map. It's this large area with a couple barracks, and you got dozens of enemies surrounding you, shooting at you, plus mobs inside the buildings shooting at you through the windows. There's a few ambushes coming from the walls, and again, most of this is also superfluous. It's a huge area full of mob spawns, so hey, at least it's not empty, but it just doesn't have to be so damn open. It's like this map was designed for you of already knowing where the fuck to go. I wish this map was a little more structured and linear. Oh, by the way, after that big ass area is over with, now you get to go and fight an Iron Lich in the dark while you have disciples sniping you from the perimeter. If you haven't been using saves throughout levels to create checkpoints for yourself yet, please fucking start now. Even on medium difficulty, this map was a pain in the ass. Imagine being like 15 minutes into a map, running around, oh, okay, is this, oh, that was a dead end, and here's a dead end, finally, here's the key. Now let me go to this giant ass fucking area, and oh, I died, and no mid-level saves. Now I get to do it all over again, yay! That's a fate worse than death itself. I would rather die in real life than die in halfway through a Heretic level and have to redo it all. In other games, dying is often a punishment. Of course, you don't want to redo anything, but it's usually balanced in a pretty good way. You know, whenever you die, how far back you're going to have to go. In more action-y games, they'll pretty much let you retry the fight you died on. Some will incorporate runbacks as a form of punishment, you know, like in Diablo or in the Souls games. Here, you just have to redo the whole level all over again, just like every other Doom game, right? Except in Heretic, you forgot, hey, every level is as fun to replay as Mount Erebus, or for you Limbo haters, every map in Heretic is Limbo. And this one in particular is fucking super Limbo. Just save throughout the fucking levels. You don't want to have to redo anything in this fucking game. It's fun the first time, but when you die and have to redo it, oh man, it is not fun, let me tell you. Throughout episode 2, we get a few more weapons. First, the Hell Staff, which works the same as Doom's plasma gun, but after using the buff tome, it shoots magic missiles and rains acid from the sky, which demolishes even the most daunting enemies in a matter of seconds. Next is the Phoenix Rod, which shoots out rockets, just like the Doom's rocket launcher, but it upgrades and turns the staff into a flamethrower. Hell yeah. And lastly, we got the Fire Mace, which shoots explosive cannonballs. It already rips and tears through Hellspawn so fast, it would make Doom Guy blush, but powered up, it insta-kills pretty much everything. E2M8, the Portals of Chaos, is yet another banger. The second episode's boss mission starts off with a playground full of enemies to kill, including an Iron Lich, but when you get to the center stage, the player encounters the boss, and again, on hard mode, you're getting 3 of these guys. The new enemy here is called the Malatar. Essentially, it's Heretic stand-in for the Cyber Demon. And although it's a less iconic design, I'd say, they're still very intimidating and have more attacks in their arsenal between shooting missiles at you. They also will bull rush you and throw down their hammer to create these flaming shockwaves. This is my favorite boss mission of the game, a great counterpart to Doom's Tower of Babel. Episode 3 is overall the best of the 3 in the base game. There aren't any short levels, but none really drag on for too long. None that make me roll my eyes and go, oh, this level. In fact, one in particular, E3M6, the Halls of Fear, is actually a pretty fun level to run through. There's some fair backtracking, but the map itself is very small and densely packed, which is practically unheard of in Heretic. This map feels like it belongs in Doom 1 in terms of layout design, but with the appeal and charm of a Heretic. One thing you have to admit about Heretic is these environments do look very pretty, but it's what's on the inside that counts. Looks are only skin deep. Moving on to the finale, E3M8, Desperal's Keep, we get to the chambers of the Serpent Rider himself. This map is pretty fun. I like the build up to the final encounter itself. This has some good Phobos Anomaly vibes to it, but the fight itself is pretty easy. You have this massive open field to fight Desperal, who isn't particularly fast, nor threatening. At a certain point, he summons Disciples in his second phase. I really think you should have had 2 Malatars here to justify such an open arena. Then you could either try to avoid them while you snipe Desperal, or you could go for killing them first and Desperal after when it's safe. And, you know, he'll summon the Disciples after the Malatars die to keep that pressure up a little bit. So, I think that would have been a little bit better design. But it's still a nice environment here. I just wish it was as tough as the first 2 bosses were. This guy's kind of a pushover. Episode 4 is my favorite episode of the game. These maps are pretty long to get through as well, but they're pretty small in terms of actual size. They're just very densely packed, with enemies to where the ammo management is going to be a huge aspect of the difficulty. I'm constantly trying to get these guys to infight or get the environment to kill as many possible to save on ammo. It makes these maps turn out to be some of the longest in terms of playtime, but it doesn't feel like it. They're a lot more engaging than just run around this huge environment searching for a hidden wall that leads to a switch to unlock a door. It could have just allowed me to open it on its own, but no, I need to do this whole run around and look for the hidden switch game. A lot of the missions in this episode were some of my favorite in the entire game. For example, E4M3 Ambulatory and E4M4 Sepulture. There isn't anything special in either of these maps, they're just really fun to run through, and I don't feel like they're just too long like a lot in the earlier game. Episode 4's boss mission, the Shattered Bridge, this is where the episode kind of dies for me. It's just super mid. You kill hundreds of fucking golems, run through these hallways, then you get to fight like 20 iron liches. I don't know, just kind of underwhelming. The rest of the episode was really fun though. Moving on to episode 5. Now here, pretty much every mission in this episode overstays its welcome. But one map in particular I enjoy was E5M2 Rapids. It has a neat gimmick. The map has a lot of these currents that are pushing you forward, which keeps the pressure on always, constantly pushing you into more monsters. These maps aren't balanced very well, however. Many of them are built around draining you of your resources, and due to the enemies being way too spongy, you're barely able to get by. Oftentimes I'm finding myself running out of ammo on everything and having to use the staff to get through. I don't really like that. In Doom, you had less weapon variety, but you also had less ammo diversity as well. So, if I picked up ammo for this, for my machine gun, I also have ammo for my pistol. I didn't have to worry about, okay, cool, I finally got some arrows, but I'm fighting spectral enemies, so this ammo is just worthless. And if you're gonna be fighting a cyber demon in Doom 2, like, the level is going to be built around knowing you're fighting him, so they're gonna give you what you need to deal with this encounter. And Heretic, they're just like, yeah, here's a fucking bunch of ammo. We don't know if it's what you want. We don't know if it's what you need. Figure it out. You're the fucking gamer. What are you asking us? It's like, no, you're the level designer. You know what enemies are gonna be here. Give me the right fucking ammo. The enemies barely even drop ammo in this game either. It's like random if they do. And it's like never what you fucking want. Like every Doom level was made around the idea that, can you pistol start this? I'm playing E5M9 Scion of Disparal, and there's no way you can reasonably do this map without coming into it with better weapons from previous maps. They give you a bunch of ammo, but they don't give you any weapons. So what's the fucking point? Just, if you're not gonna give me other weapons, you know I have the wand, just give me a bunch of ammo for the wand, and I'll figure it out. But they don't. I'm getting arrows, I'm getting the little blue orbs, I'm getting the little red fucking things. I don't have those weapons, so I'm just fucked. Eventually, once I've already used up all the vials for healing, I eventually get the gauntlets, but it's a little too late and they fucking suck. Even this episode's boss mission is not that fucking good. You start off in this little spider head structure, they give you all the ammo you could possibly need, all the weapons you could possibly ever ask for, and then I'm like running around, how do I get, where do I go? I'm like punching the wall, like, okay, how do I get out? Let me go fight the boss. You have to use your little fly guy to get on the platform. Why? I have no idea. I guess they want you to be flying for the boss fight, but it just doesn't add anything, so what's the fucking point? Yeah, okay, there's like 20 Malatars. Use your Tome of Power buff so you can kill them a little faster. I run around in a circle around them. I don't get hit, like, ever. It's like, why I don't know. It was just fucking easy. It was kind of very, very underwhelming. Especially for an episode that was, like, annoyingly hard. Like, they never, ever want to give you ammo for anything until you get to the final boss, and it's like, here's like 10 Malatars to kill, and we're just gonna like give you way too much ammo, so you're only not even gonna have to worry about ammo now. Alright, I guess. There is a 6th episode, but it's not accessible without cheat codes, or if you're playing the remaster like I am, there's the level selector. They're just 3 deathmatch maps. I couldn't even find an exit on one of them. I don't know if there is one or not. They're kind of just whatever, just run around, kill stuff. I'm sure they're fun on multiplayer. For single player content, they're kind of just, you know, meh. So, Heretic overall, it's a neat addition to the Doom catalog. If you love Doom and you want more of Doom, this one's fine enough. It adds some cool new features, but I'm sure there's a bunch of Doom mods out there that are higher up on the list of stuff you're wanting to play. You know, like Doom 1 and 2, 5 out of 5 games. Perfect games. Everyone has to play those games. If you haven't played Doom yet, what the fuck are you doing? You know? It's 2026. Like, I played this game last year for the first time. What the fuck was I doing? What, I was wasting my life not playing Doom? What the fuck's wrong with me? If you haven't played it yet, what are you doing here? Get on it. But Heretic is certainly not. You're never going to hear me say that about this game. This game's like, it's, you know, hey, it's not bad. You know, it's like, Heretic's okay. One thing you gotta admit is the levels are appealing. But, fucking, why the enemy's gotta take 1,000,000 fucking hits to kill? So, anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I do want to make more content on all these boomer shooters. I want to get through all the Doom clones. Maybe in the future I'll do the build engine games like Duke Nukem and all that shit. You know, maybe I'll get around to Quake someday. So if you want more content like this, you better like and subscribe, motherfucker. And if you don't, well, what are you doing here? Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace.